I'm live now. I swear I always start every video wondering if I'm live for a good 5 minutes, trying to figure out if I am live, talking about it while I'm on a live. So if this is live, bear with me while I try to figure out if it's actually live. I usually I have bought a lifetime subscription when they were a newer company to be live, and that's usually what I use to schedule a live video. And I decided not to use it because, call me woo or whatever, but Mercury's in retrograde. Nothing technology wise, I swear the last month or two, everybody I know is having so many problems with technology. So I was like, take Be Live out of it because that's just an extra piece. We already have to deal with the internet, the laptop, Facebook, all of these different pieces have to work. So anyway, so I'm using the live producer, and there's a little bit of a learning curve here. But it looks like I am live. So we are going to talk about today how to find your unique purpose or your niche, right? And those two things, I like to look at them as they're totally intertwined with each other. If you're going to niche down, you might as well just do it in your unique divine purpose, right? But different people come in looking for different things. So you might have recently started a new business and you keep hearing this, you need to niche down. So that's what you're looking for. Or you might have been in business for a while and you've already niched down, but you're just not in love with it, right? And you're starting to shift into that space of I need to figure out what my purpose is. What am I here to do? So this is for you if you are constantly overthinking what your offer should be, who your audience is, who your ideal client is, right? Just constantly overthinking what it is that you're supposed to be doing in your business. If you're flip-flopping a lot, that used to be basically my name. I have started so many different businesses. And they all kind of boiled down to they all had a similar theme. And that was startup, because I kept starting up different businesses, right? So now I work with people in startups. It makes sense. But yeah, if you're constantly flip-flopping and you're starting something new and you're never really gaining traction on it, this is for you. If you are holding back on making offers, right? Getting sales in your business, and you just don't really understand why, but you can actually look at it and say, there are people out there who are waiting for what I have to offer, and I'm not offering it to them. Or if you've heard that before, maybe you work with a coach or something, you have some type of tracking going on and you can tell you're not doing this. So you're holding back on offers. You're not really committed typically to your offer or to your niche. That's what's going on. So this is for you if that sounds like you. So when we talk about, before I dive into the three big secrets, right? I want to talk a little bit about what your niche really means, right? So when we say you have to niche down, what we need to separate, because it has this kind of icky feeling to it, right? Niching down feels hard to do. I know for me, I have tons of different interests and talents and whatever, and picking one really specific thing just feels icky. I don't like it. And a lot of people really struggle with niching down. So I want to start by just kind of pointing out that there is value to this. So when you have to niche down, right? So if you want to sell something, you need to be specific about it. But the difference here is that you need to be specific about what result you're offering, right? Not the methodology to get there. So for example, for me, I am offering a very specific result. I'm helping people find their purpose. I'm helping them start a business. I'm helping them shift out of, a job that they hate into a life that they love, and then scale that business. Now, the methodologies are all over the place. I have tons of different interests and things that I get into. I have different programs. I'm coming out with courses. I'm writing a book. There are tons of different ways that I can maneuver within that niche, right? But the result that I'm offering is always the same. There are just different ways to get there. So when you think about niching down, just try to kind of get out of that mindset of like you have to pick something really specific and then you're married to it forever, because those of us with like commitment issues absolutely hate that. So so when if you want to sell something, you have to be specific about the result that you're offering, right? Not the methods. So when we get into the space of diving into your unique divine purpose, right? The first thing that we need to do is to release old programming. That's number one, okay? So you need to let go of belief systems that are no longer serving you. Now, it's funny because when we talk about niching down and, offering one result, right? And having different methodologies to get there. I have a ton of different interests, and I spent a lot of time thinking about this last night. I mean, this is something I go over with clients on a regular basis, but it's hard to speak about it in a more general way, right? So I'm trying to come up with different things that apply to everyone. So when I work one-on-one with a client, we're talking about releasing old programming. I'm asking them questions that help us identify what that programming is and how to shift out of it. But speaking more generally, I kind of had to come up with different ways to do that. So I ended up spending a bunch of time researching early childhood development last night. So I just wanted to point that out, that it's, when you niche down or when you commit to something in your business, you don't have to let go of other things that you're passionate about, right? Because early childhood development is a big one for me, and it still somehow manages to work its way into my business. So the way that came up is when we talk about releasing old programming, children at the age of 2 have 2 times the synapses of adults, right? So that's the number of connections between brain cells, and that's what facilitates learning. So between the ages of 2 and 7, all of these different things that you learned and all these different things that you heard forged pathways in your brain that are so deeply ingrained. And we don't do this the same way as adults, right? This happens between the ages of 2 and 7. So during that time, this is where we establish a growth mindset, first of all. So the belief that talents and abilities are developed through effort, not innately fixed. Now, during that time, we started to hear things like, the virtues that our parents or whoever raised us, the virtues that they wanted to instill in us, teachers, parents, any type of mentor that you had as a kid. They're going to be talking about things like working hard, right? Because that's an important virtue. Like you need to establish like a love of learning and a love of effort to be able to, build something in your life. And the people who cared about you wanted you to know that. They wanted you to have that, that ability, and that's great. But we get this kind of programming in our heads that says, when you talk about working hard and hustling, it says we have to work hard, right? So in our adult lives, if something isn't hard, we don't do it, right? Because it's not virtuous. It's like we make things hard because of this past programming, and it doesn't have to be that way. We also learn things like, I even do this with my kid, and he's not even in school. I homeschool. But we talk about going to school, right? We talk about getting a stable job in a stable industry because we want to raise our kids to be able to support themselves, to be able to function in society. But this is the society that supports the 9-to-5 culture, right? So when we really want to shift out of that and fully dive into entrepreneurship, we have to let go of all of those old belief systems, right? All of that programming that is geared toward, supporting this 9-to-5 culture. If you're trying to break out of it, you have to let go of the belief systems that don't belong to you. I mean, these are things that you were taught, right? These are things that your parents taught you, your teachers, whoever. Those aren't your belief systems. Those come from other people. So you have to let go of those, and you have to let go of what no longer serves you, right? So when we talk about working hard, hustling, and that whole culture, those belief systems hold you in playing small. And we need to shift out of that to really fully own entrepreneurship and diving into your purpose. We need to shift out of playing small and kind of come into our own power and just, you really have to dive in and think about playing bigger, right? So the first secret would be to release old programming, right? Let go of belief systems that don't belong to you and that don't serve you. So the second step that we take, and I have a 6-month program where we like walk through this, and we pull out your unique divine purpose and then build a business around it. So I'm going to kind of generalize here. There's a whole process that goes with it, but the second step is to go inside of yourself, right? You have to stop looking outside of yourself and you have to go inside. I can't tell you what your unique divine purpose is. You have that inside of you. I can help you pull it out. I can ask questions that help, lead us down the path towards, what that might be. But only you know what that answer is. So in order to find it, you have to turn off all of the noise that's going on outside of you and go inside, right? So some of the tools that we use in my program, meditation is a big one. So doing guided meditations. You can look up like on YouTube, probably business muse meditations and things like that. And basically it's just, you go into, you go deep inside of yourself and you start to ask questions and pull out answers that already exist within you that help guide you towards your unique divine purpose. And then on a practical level, turning off all of the noise outside of you, because it's, again, going back to, that first secret, releasing other people's beliefs, stop holding on to what everyone else is doing. Stop looking for what everyone else is doing. Even just the fact that you're here, to watch this live video, it means that you have this question. You're looking for this unique divine purpose that exists within you, but you're looking outside of you for those answers, right? So I am here to help guide you to that. But also you need to stop, turn off all of those outside influences and really take some time to go inside of yourself to pull those answers out, because that's where they exist. So meditation can help with that. Turning off literally your newsfeed, literally and figuratively. So your Facebook newsfeed. I actually have I wonder if I can share it on here. I have an extension that I use on Chrome. I wonder if I can show it. Stream viewing. I don't think I can share my screen from a Facebook Live. But anyway, I have an extension on Chrome called the Newsfeed Eradicator, and it's awesome. I pull up Facebook and literally all it will show me. I wish I could share this, but I'll show it right now, or I'll pull it up right now and tell you what it says. So I refresh my page on Facebook. I'm on Facebook.com. The newsfeed, just all it says is, it's a quote from Tina Fey. You can't be that kid standing at the top of the water slide overthinking it. You have to go down the chute. So it's basically just these it erases your entire newsfeed and just gives you some kind of motivational quote. And it's so funny because we get so sucked into everything that's going on in our newsfeeds, right? And on my Facebook, I've cultivated a network of really inspiring, powerful female entrepreneurs. So my newsfeed isn't like me getting sucked into, high school drama or whatever, but I still have to use that app, that Newsfeed Eradicator, because I will spend so much time in there consuming content that other people put out, and I have to remind myself, I'm a content creator, not a content consumer. So when you need to figure out what your unique divine purpose is, and you really need to, you need to niche down whatever, you have to stop looking at what other people are doing. And part of the steps you need to take to get there is just turning off your newsfeed, right? Because there are 1,000 answers out there and none of them are your answer. So just turn all that stuff off. Unsubscribe from stuff and I have to do this on a regular basis because I'm so terrible about signing up for everybody's newsletters, because I want to support everybody's businesses, right? But then in my inbox, I'm getting all this stuff constantly, and it's ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's this? I want to sign up for this free workshop. I want to go take this course. I want to buy this book. I want to, and instead of stopping and saying, okay, hey, what do I, Daphne, what do I need to do in my business today? What do I need to do to work further towards my goals? Instead of doing that, I'm looking at my newsfeed and someone's telling me what I need to do, right? or I'm looking in my inbox and someone's telling me like, hey, this is your next step. You need this thing. You need this thing. Turn all of that shit off and just go inside of yourself and look for the answers there, right? So turn off your newsfeed, unsubscribe to stuff. And I highly recommend using meditation for this step. But if that doesn't sit with you, like there's a ton of different ways to do it. So in my program, we have like writing exercises. I have one that I hand out as a freebie. If you don't have it, go ahead and comment on the video here, or you can shoot me a message or whatever, and I'll send it over to you. And basically, it guides you through some of the things that we would pull out in a guided meditation anyway. It's just a writing exercise. So whatever works best for you, there are tons of different tools to help you pull these answers out of yourself, right? Personality tests, right? Quizzes, things like that. Don't get sucked into that whole thing. Like, don't go too far down that rabbit hole, but there's tons of them that are really helpful in helping you figure out like who you are and what your purpose is. So like human design is a great one. In general, what you want to do is turn everything off and go inside of yourself and ask, right? So you can even do this right now. Just close your eyes and put your hands on your heart and ask, what lights my soul up, right? What really lights my soul on fire? Like, what makes you feel all tingly? What do you want to put into the world, right? What types of people do you love to connect with? Who do you love to work with? And another writing exercise I really like to do, this isn't the one that I have in the freebie, but I'll send, if you watch this video, go ahead and comment if you want the writing exercises, and I'll just throw this one in there too. Your future story, right? So if you think about, if you did everything exactly the way that you're meant to for the next 6 months, and you're sitting as you 6 months from now, what does that look like, right? What does it feel like? What are you focused on? What have you accomplished? So again, you've done everything exactly the way that you're supposed to, and you're thinking about 6 months from now. What does your day-to-day look like? And when we start to think about our ideal future, right, our ideal lifestyle, and we start to identify what those pieces are, we really start to kind of hone in on, what it takes to get there. So what is the path that you need to take to get from here to that ideal day 6 months from now? And again, like, I love to pull in guided meditations. It's one of my favorite things in this program. But, really, really looking at like your ideal day. So waking up, what does it look like? Like, what is the weather like? Where are you? What color are the things around you? Like, every single detail about what your ideal lifestyle looks like. Really imagine that and put yourself into that space. And when you're actually sitting in the future you, because that person, the person that you're going to be 6 months from now already exists within you, right? Like, you are that person. All of those cells are in your body right now. You just have actions that you need to take in order to, become, like, fully embody that person, right? So when we start to really, like, kind of put ourselves in that position, it helps kind of light up that pathway that helps us get there, right? So, okay, so yeah, once you basically go inside of yourself and you start to pull out all of these things that you're passionate about, right? All of these things that you're skilled at. What are your innate natural skills and abilities? What are you just super passionate about? Like, what do you love to do? What do you want to put into the world, right? Start to pull those things out. And then once you feel really grounded in that, you want to step out of it and kind of shift out of that, right brain way of thinking into the left brain, right? So I always do things in like all of my programs are kind of hybrid, like there's some business strategy, whatever, and then there's a bunch of woo in there too. So we're going to shift from the woo into the business strategy, right? So when you shift out of that, now we're going to start to go back outside, right? Now we've turned off the news feed, we've unsubscribed to stuff, but when we start to shift back out of ourselves, think along the lines of asking people who you see people who know you really well, right? Like people you see on a regular basis. Ask them what they would come to you for advice on, right? Figure out what are those innate natural skills and abilities that you have. What are the things that other people see in you that you might not even know exist? Or if you've really done the work in step 2, where you go inside of yourself and turn everything else off, if you really do that work, what'll happen is when you start to shift back out and you're asking friends and family members what they would come to you for, and don't ask them like, okay, what should my business be? Because then they're going to start to think in terms of like, where can you make money, right? Like, what are the stable industries? They have that same old programming that we had to let go of in step 1. So don't ask them that. Just ask them specifically like what they would come to you for help with, or what they think you're really good at, right? And take that, the money kind of analytical side out of it. Like, try to get them in that right brain space too. So what'll happen is they'll start to validate. If you really went in and did that work in step 2, they will start to validate some of the things that came out. And that's going to help give you the confidence to say, okay, this actually makes sense. Like, I know that I'm really passionate about this thing, and my husband just said, without any prompts for me, I just asked him, what does he think? Like, another good question is, if you had to go live for like 10 or 15 minutes and you had no prompts, right? You had no notes or anything, and I was just like, go live right now on Facebook, or like get up on stage and talk about something, what would that thing be? That's a good question to ask yourself, but also to ask somebody who's close to you. And again, they start to validate the things that you've already pulled out, right? So then you start building that confidence of, this is something that I know exists within me. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and now it's something that my husband or my best friend or whoever is also saying they saw within me, right? And then we're going to shift into that left brain space, and the third step is to analyze and start to combine those things, right? So this is the one that I have a tough time kind of bottling or putting down on paper, because this is a big part of what I do in my business, and we do it one-on-one. So you basically have to take whatever it is that you're super passionate about, combine it with your natural skills and abilities, figure out how you want to help people and what you want to put into the world, and then package it, right? So there's a couple of different things you want to look at here. One is, what do you ultimately want to put into the world, right? So long term, like think, if 10 years from now you've done everything right, and you're like, money is not an issue, you're financially free, you have more money than you even know what to do with. What do you want to put into the world? What do you want to be remembered for? Like, who do you most want to help, right? I mean, maybe you want to build 30 orphanages or something. Like, there's something inside of you that you would really love to do that's down the road, like in the future. That's your ultimate goal, right? Now we want to take those passions and those skills that you've pulled out and combine them with your ultimate goal, right? Where you really want to end up in your life, and package it into something that shows you the pathway to get there. Okay, so a good example of this might be somebody who, this is kind of where I started. So I could picture my business, a couple years ago, I could picture my business in the future. And one of the things I've always really been passionate about, a purpose that I've carried since I was a little kid, was being a mom, right? And it's funny because being a mom isn't what we think about when we think about like niching down, right? But when we think about our purpose, that really fits in. And what we want to do is create a lifestyle that combines these things, right? All of your, all of your passions and your niche, your unique divine purpose is like a combination of those things. So for me, I am on the path in my business toward building that building the audience, right? Building the financial freedom that I need in order to actually step further away from my business and step further into parenting, right? Leaving a legacy for my children. And then also imprinting on the world this thing that I really fully believe in, that, you know, we live in this culture, this 9 to 5 culture that we just weren't meant for. You know, I don't think that the society that we're in is supportive of who people really are, who they truly are at their core. And I want to change that, right? So that future vision for me is, you know, creating something that's big enough that I'm able to touch like thousands of people and help them shift out of that old programming, right? That old, like, you need a stable job in a stable industry, that scarcity mindset, right? So I was raised by Depression era grandparents. So they were always, you know, and they meant well, but they were always in that, you know, that mindset of, you have to save and you have to, you know, make sure that you always have this stability, because you could lose everything and you could be homeless or whatever. I want to kind of reprogram that for other people, you know, and help people shift out of that and help them find like what it is they're truly meant to do, so that they can put their unique magic out into the world and they can help other people, right? So, yeah, okay, so step 1, we talked about releasing old programming, right? Letting go of belief systems that no longer serve you, and they don't belong to you, frankly. Step 2 is to turn everything off and go inside of yourself and really look for that unique divine purpose. Again, I highly recommend meditating in this space, but more than anything, like, just turn off what everyone else is telling you to do and start to listen to and trust yourself, right? Like, listen to and trust your intuition. And then step 3 would be analyzing and starting to combine those things, right? So take everything that came out of step 2 and look at it from a logical perspective and think, okay, how can I work this into something where I'm supported in reaching out and helping other people? I'm supported in the pathway toward where I want to be in 6 months, in 1 year, in, you know, 5 years from now, right? I'm supported in building, you know, maybe you want to create some kind of movement or like build some kind of legacy. Like, think big here, right? How can you take steps right now that will support you in getting there? And a lot of times, like, when we actually sit down in every program that I have, so what I'm talking about right now is really closely related to what we do in the first month or so of my 6-month program. It's called The Purpose Driven Life, and it's all about just finding your purpose and creating your life around that, right? And integrating all of these pieces. So it's like business, family, whatever, all of that needs to come together into your purpose-driven life. Like, whatever lights your soul on fire that you want to, like, jump out of bed in the morning, right? That's what my 6-month program is about. But I have other programs, and a lot of them are more not a lot of them, I only have a few of them, but some of them are more left brain, right? They're more like, okay, I want to quit my job within the next 3 months. How can I make enough money to get there, right? And sometimes that's really what we need to look at, because that's the step that's going to take us to the next level. That's going to get us to that place of support where we need to be in order to serve in our genuine truth and our unique divine purpose, right? So at some point within all of these programs, we always take a look at you know, your business and your package, what you're offering to people. A lot of times it's about streamlining that package, you know, creating something that's repeatable, something that takes less of your time, right? So you're taking the same steps for each client. So you start to dial down on, like, okay, I can actually work 20-hour weeks now. Or, you know, I can take that extra time and shift into, you know, really going down that path of my ultimate purpose, when what I'm doing right now is just the support for that, right? Sometimes it's about raising your prices, right? Like sometimes, okay, maybe you have a business and you are in a field that you're skilled in, you have those innate natural abilities, but what you're passionate about is the orphanages that you're going to build, 10, 15 years from now. But your business is in like accounting, right? Okay, but that's the pathway to getting towards your unique divine purpose. If you want to build 20 orphanages, you're going to have to make a shitload of money to be able to get there, right? So your path right now is to really like define your package, look at, how you can increase your income, right? So do you need to create space for more clients? Do you need to make your package more, easily repeatable and scalable? Do you need to raise your prices, right? Do you need to start looking at shifting into agency work? Like, what does that path look like? Now, maybe you're in, what example did I use? Accounting, I think, but 20 years from now, you want to have orphanages, right? Those two things don't seem related, but they totally are, because you're using this business as your vessel or your vehicle to get to your unique divine purpose. So we're looking at short-term and long-term. So at this point, I'm kind of rambling, but I want to throw in a number 4. So we talked about 1, releasing old programming, 2, going inside of yourself and, shutting out everything that's outside of you, 3, analyzing and combining all of those things into a niche that is basically your pathway towards your unique divine purpose. And then just as a kind of 4th bonus, start living as if you already have these things. So when we talked about, looking at 6 months from now, like where you are, what your day-to-day looks like, start living in that, like embody that. Wake up every day and do that meditation and embody the feeling of being where you want to be. Like, what do you want to put into the world, right? What's the pathway to get there? And start thinking about, like, if you sit in the future self, right, in your whatever it is that your ultimate goal is, or wherever you want to be, at some point in the future, if you start living as if you already have it, your energy is different. People talk, that's basically the core of manifestation. And whether you're like in that, magical manifestation woo phase, or you are like this super left-brained, science is my God type person, this stuff actually works, right? And there's a logical end to it. Like if you are living your life as if you already have all of the things you want, you behave differently. You speak differently. Your energy is different. You start to seek opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise be seeking, right? Because you're living as if you already have this stuff, so it's easier. The fear kind of just melts away. If you really live as if you have these things, you will act differently and you will come across more opportunity, essentially. So, that's pretty much it. That's all I have. I just wanted to show up and talk about how to figure out your unique purpose, your unique divine purpose, how to, getting started on finding your niche, right? And how those two things kind of go together. If you have any questions about it, if anything comes up for you, feel free to drop in the comments. If you are like completely lost and want more guidance on this, just shoot me a message. We can hop on a call and talk more about it if you need more clarity. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any, if anything came up for you and you want more guidance on it, but you don't want to message me, go ahead and comment. I'd love to see like what things come up for you and what direction you want to go in now. So like, what do you need more information on to continue down this path, right? Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Hey guys.